Welcome to week 3 of the Elestriad, where DistantCoder, representing Aeolus and the Wind Pantheon, throws down against Powdr, representing Zeus and the Thunder Pantheon. DistantCoder got a pretty good start to this season, going 2-0, and Powdr has not quite had the same luck, 0-2, but has a couple big aces up his sleeve with Volt Tempest. Still chasing down that Gryphuse. You can check out their deck profiles and what they are bringing in the description below. We're looking for a great matchup today, a great clash. I'm super excited for it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you guys haven't done so yet. For more Elestriad, you guys can always head over to shop Elestrals.com and pick up some sweet starter decks, Shattered Stars, or anything in between. We've got some amazing stuff going on, and you definitely want to get involved in the game. We have our free app available as well in discord.gg/Elestrals. Without further ado, let's dive into the clash and see what these two casters are bringing today. All right, here we go. DistantCoder looks like they are kicking off this clash with a Wind Spirit, and they are bringing a lot of wind, and they get the turn 1 Hydrake out, which is exactly what they're trying to do. We saw them dominate last week with Cryzor coming out, but this wind deck focusing on Hydrake, ultimately trying to get out that Pantera, puts on a lot of pressure. Now, if you're Powdr, you've got some really cool tools up your sleeve. We talked about Volt Tempest. We talked about some of these things that he can utilize. Gorgon's Gaze is another one, but he's going to cast his Spark It here on the first turn of the clash. Now, if he has a way to Nexus, this could be very advantageous for Powdr, especially if he has a Zeus. So let's find out. He did set something face down. He has that Spark It out. There's a potential crash here. You really don't want to allow that Twindra to come out this early on unless you have a way to like bounce it, like a Shield of Achilles, which, you know, Powdr is running 2 of. So let's see here. He's thinking about his play. He's going to go Nectar of the Gods, draw 2 cards. Generally, you would probably use the Nectar before you cast the Spark It, because there could have been a different play there, right? Like maybe he draws Astrabit, and that might have been a more optimal play, or he draws Boombat or something like that. Maybe he wants to get rid of the Hydrake. So that's just a little tidbit of information there. I would probably recommend doing the Nog first, just so you can kind of maximize your options as you're playing these out. But it's all good. 2 Thunder Spirits at the field for a Thunderstorm. He's going to go after the face down rune. This is another example of that kind of playing in. It doesn't matter here because he's going to let his Poison Tipped Arrow go down. But have, like, let's say you want a Thunderstorm. You want to do it before you cast your Celestial, right? Because, you know, if he had something like a Tsunami, he could have chained it there, right? And it would have impacted the Spark It. So it looks as though turn is going to be passed. He does not crash into the Hydrake, and rather a P-Gust hits the field for DistantCoder. This is an optimal play for him and a really good position to be in, because he can blow up the Shield of Achilles. That's huge. That is actually massive. And now he can crash his Hydrake into the Spark It and get Twindra out without any problems, and that's exactly what he's gonna do. This could get real ugly real quick for Powdr. The Shield of Achilles unable to do what he needs it to do. Twindra is able to hit the field during the battle phase still, and it can attack and hit for 2 directly alongside P-Gust. That's going to be a 3 spirit swing here, as Powdr is going to be losing a lot of spirits, and it's only DistantCoder's second turn of the clash. Not where you want to be if you're Powdr, but he did have that Nectar of the Gods in the first turn. There's a lot of pieces here. We know he's got Earthquakes. There's a chance he can Earthquake out that Twindra, cast an Elestral, and knock out that P-Gust, right? Like, it's not as if there's no comeback here. He just needs to draw. Even a Zeus could be big here, a Boombat. He's got some options, right? Like, he's certainly not out of this clash yet, and we're going to have to see how he decides to play this. But if you're DistantCoder, you've got to be feeling good right now. Twindra on the field. Your ace is in the wings, waiting in the wings, that Pantera. Here comes a Toxion. Going to do 1 chip. Nice way to start the comeback here for Powdr. He knows his Toxion can attack over that P-Gust. Not going to give him any sort of a spirit advantage there, but you can at least slow the onslaught of Twindra as you look to try to find something else. But he's going to go Mount Olympus out here. That's a Stadium, so that's going to want to go to the Stadium slot as Powdr figures that one out. I would actually say that that's a disadvantageous play, and the reason why is because now your Toxion has 5 attack, which means Twindra, rather than just knocking it out, is actually going to crash into it and then gets out Pantera. So I think we're going to look back on this moment as a misplay from Powdr, as it's going to put Coder exactly where he wants to be. He's going to be able to cast an Elestral. It could be a Sorlet, could be anything. He can crash his Twindra now into the Toxion, deal 1 spirit of damage, and then get Pantera out and deal 3 spirits of damage directly. So I think that this is, like I said, it's probably going to prove itself to be a disadvantageous play, as Coder is going to do 2 onto his Aeolus. Aeolus is proud of Coder's you know, clashes this season so far and his accomplishments. He's been dominating, and he's going to be able to search out for whatever he wants. I think you probably grab Sorlet, maybe Exaltair, if you want to kind of add to that burn damage. I know DistantCoder is an Exaltair fan. He's going to go Sorlet. That's definitely the play. You got a 5 attacker that now hits the field. And again, just opening the door for Twindra here. Toxion at 5 attack. I think he's just going to walk right into this. Let's do a quick listen in here.
I'll go battle. I'll attack with Twindra into your Toxion, so they both get destroyed. I'll use the effect of Twindra to run out Pantera from my deck.
I know exactly where this is going. Oh,
the big boy!
Oh, no.
Real quick before we move further,
yeah.
Powdr, that was 1 damage from the crash.
Yeah, you do take 1 damage from the crash,
Okay.
right? And I am going to misenchant this Pantera.
And that's that. So Powdr takes a hit right there from the Twindra, takes a Spirit. The Pantera hits the field. DistantCoder makes a smart play. He's just going to misenchant this Pantera with 2 Thunder and a Water. And I'll explain why. The primary reason is he can use those Thunder later if he wants to Nexus. He probably doesn't need him at this stage of the game. But the real kind of piece of this is the Water Spirit. That Water Spirit makes it so Pantera is immune to Tsunami. And at this stage of the game, DistantCoder is not really worried about Pantera's effect. It's not an Elestral that really needs its effect. It can still function on the field without it and still deal massive damage. And now Powdr down to just 5 spirits. We see a late game Nectar of the Gods, the desperation play. As he searches out, he's got 1 Ambrosia in his deck. He's going to need that. He's probably going to need some sort of a boom bat here to have any sort of a chance. Let's see what he's got. He does have the Ambrosia. That's going to give him a little bit of life left in this clash, grabbing 3 more spirits. Now, Coder only has 9, right? Like, it's not as if Coder's sitting there at 15 spirits. He's got 9. And if you know, Powder's able to get out like a boom bat, you could take out the Pantera, maybe survive another turn. You probably need something like a Tsunami to keep you in this at this point. He doesn't even have it. He's got Gorgon's Gaze, so it ends up being kind of a moot point there. But let's see, Powdr considering a play. He's going to go Spark It into attack position. It does have 5 attack, obviously, with the Mount Olympus. But he's just basically staring down this Pantera. I'm not sure if he's going to have any way to hit over it. Looks in his Spirit deck. I don't even see 2 Earth Spirits there, so he might not even have the opportunity to play an Earthquake. He maybe gets Poison Tipped Arrows. Looks like DistantCoder is going to set that face down, not actually use the Poison Tipped Arrow, as Powdr counts out his spirits and debates what he can do left at this point in the clash, and we are going to see the Poison Tipped Arrow. So this is a kind of a delayed trigger effect and a unique mechanic in Elestrals where PTA is cast. It drops the attack of the targeting Elestral by 2 when it's on cast. So Spark It essentially is now a 2 attacker, and then Olympus brings it to 3. But at the end of the phase, Coder can actually expend spirits equal to the casting cost of Spark It, so in this case 1, and destroy the Spark It. So it's like a delayed destruction effect. A lot of decks have kind of shied away from using it. I think in Elestriad it makes a lot of sense. You get 2 of them with the Earth Starter deck, so anyone who's picking up that Earth deck is grabbing those PTAs. And I think in this kind of restricted format where you're limited to the packs that you open and stuff, that's a card that's going to be really crucial as we get to the later weeks of this tournament. As you know, Poison Tipped Arrow is one of the best counter runes. It's just, I think a lot of players right now are favoring, you know, Gorgon's Gaze and Shield of Achilles and stuff like that. But I'm a big PTA fan, especially when you have like some good defenses. I think if you can kind of hold down those defenses, it ends up being really worthwhile. But let's listen into the final moments of this one.
You want 0 spirits, so you cannot play any cards. The only thing you'd be able to do is you'll be able to cast an invoke rune or a counter rune using the spirit under your Mount Olympus. That's the only thing you can do. So if you draw Ambrosia, you can play.
Okay.
All you, go ahead.
No, I didn't draw Ambrosia. It's all.
You have no playable cards?
No, no playable cards. All right, man. There you go.
GG's Powdr, GG's
Handshakes,
my guy.
GG's.
Dude, Pantera, the
Boy, oh boy, that was quite the body bag as DistantCoder ends it for Powdr. That was pretty rough if you're Powdr, right? He kind of fell right in that trap, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of that was his own doing. I saw it set up as soon as he put that Mount Olympus down, basically setting up that Twindra. I think if you're Powdr and you look back on this clash, there's a few things you gotta do differently there. One, you need to prioritize getting that Earthquake or a Boom Bat. You have those tools available to clear DistantCoder's Elestrals, especially that Twindra or the Pantera. you got to prioritize getting those. And I think a few other tweaks, right? Like I said, maybe playing the Nectar of the Gods before you cast the Elestrals, so you kind of give yourself some more opportunities. You always have opportunities to mulligan as well on your first turn if you're not liking the hand you have. Can't really do much about the P-Gust and the Shield of Achilles, but you know, there's a few little tweaks there that I think will make it go a long way for Powdr as they go to week 4 and try to get out of this little funk that they've started with. But DistantCoder advances to 3-0 on the Elestriad. Definitely someone to watch out for. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below what your favorite Elestral is. And that's gonna be it for me, guys. We'll see you guys for the next Clash.